Hello, folks.
Yellow.
Hello, folks. Thank you, Paul, for this beer, which you accidentally left in my car. And the beer is Newcastle Brown Ale.
The one and
only Nuki Brewed. Now, everybody has bottles tonight.
Yeah. Boring old 12-ounce bottles.
no cans.
My hair looks nasty because I washed it. We're looking at Newcastle Brown Ale. I looked for cans yesterday. Yes, I did find cans, the 14.9 ounce light brown cans, but I could not find the 12-ounce dark brown cans. And I didn't feel like going to Canal Street in close to the French or in the French Quarter, so I just said, oh well, it's not that important. But anybody want to tell us why I was looking for the cans instead of the clear bottle?
Well, there's the stigma about a brown bottle. a brown bottle. There's a stigma about the clear bottle letting the light in, affecting the beer and affecting its flavor. And if you get the can, you won't have that whole problem with the beer.
Right. Now we have all from the West, Texas. Myself from the South Central in Louisiana. We have. Oh, wait a minute. We got Brandon Burrell who's coming in. I got to send him another invite. I might have forgotten. We got Jeff Brister from Mississippi. And
Yep.
Jeff, I'm sorry about Ole Miss and whatnot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we beat State, so everything's all good.
I know that was a shock. We could do a video just on that. I'm telling you. I couldn't believe it. Such a dominating performance. But anyway, this is not about football. It's about a brown ale. Now we have also Tanya from the West, from California, and we had her. Oh, she dropped off for a second. Okay, Tanya's back, and we've got Nate, Kay, and Eric F.
Good evening.
Massachusetts, and we might have John and Charles, but John has a family affair, a family event, and he said he may not be able to make it.
Wow.
Anyway, he was disappointed. But anyway, all right, Newcastle Brown Ale. It's been on the market since 1927. It's from England. Anybody want to read what that little Tanya? You want to read what it says on the back about fact number 1, bridge? Mine says bridged. What does yours say?
Yeah, mine says bridge. It says it's well known that Newcastle Brown Ale is full of flavor and remarkably smooth. What's less well known is that the bridge over the River Tyne in Newcastle was built by the same company that constructed the Sydney Harbour Bridge in Australia. The Tyne Bridge was opened in 1928 by King George V and Queen Mary, and still features proudly on Newcastle Brown Ale's label. Oh, I didn't even look to see what was in that blue star, so there it is in the blue star. I don't know if you can see it or not.
And it's got medals that it's won, 1928. And now, has everyone had Newcastle before?
See.
It's been a minute.
Is this the first time? Okay, but it's no first time for anyone?
Mm-mm.
Look at all those bubbles. Look at that sort of I don't know, brown appearance. It's like, but Newcastle, Newcastle touts that it's the lighter side of dark.
I would
looks like
agree
tea.
with that. Yeah, them and Guinness are definitely drawing a different crowd that just drinks lagers into something with a little bit more flavor.
Right, but the lighter side of dark in the sense, Eric, that it's a light brown. It does look like tea. It looks like iced tea, huh, Paul?
Yeah.
It looks just like iced tea. That's what I was looking at.
Yeah, it looks like
That's
it's nice tea.
Onto the light. Where's my ice at?
That's about right.
Look at that beautiful head, though.
Nice head. I had a nice frothy head. It kind of went down fast, but it's pretty.
And it's 4.7% alcohol, which is your average beer range in America. Let's see about the skunk, because that's always an issue, None.
I don't notice it.
I thought I smelled a little skunk when I first poured it, but when I'm smelling it now in the glass, I really don't.
I'm getting
Yeah.
the skunk.
I got it too,
Uh-oh.
but it's better now.
Yeah, I tried
I
to
was
reach back.
skunked in the glass, and it's still and it's still skunked in after I poured it.
You see these grocery stores, they'll leave it out in the light. You don't know how long it's been setting out there, but
Maybe.
I don't think this beer has too many preservatives in it or anything. Or
I hear all kind of talk about that. People say, oh, they add food coloring, blah, blah, blah. It causes cancer. If you drink the beer, you will die, and all that. But I think that's a pretty common thing to use caramel coloring in these beers. I don't think they should do it, but then they want it to be brown instead of yellow, which it probably would be.
Right.
I know with the Foster's Ale, they say on the can, now there could be a U.S. law, so on the can it'll say caramel color added. But this bottle nowhere says caramel color.
Yeah, the information that I'm finding said that allegedly they use fish bladder and high fructose corn syrup and the caramel color adding.
Oh boy.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. People say this, and I say, well, where did you hear this? I heard somebody on the internet say it.
Well, I guess fish bladder and corn syrup and propylene glycol are all things that seem to be coming from the UK and Ireland in their mass-produced kinds of beers.
Yeah, and the fish bladder and all that kind of stuff is very common in beer. Okay? That's used a lot. Something to do with fish scales also. Anyway, what are y'all getting on the aroma? Because it looks nice to me. I mean, I never had an issue. I love the bottle design. It's kind of a cool design, and I love the label, and I love the appearance. But
maybe I'm getting some of that skunk. Maybe I'm getting that. But besides that, it's got like I think it's a lightly roasted malt, and maybe there's some toffee and honey type sweetness. Maybe.
Coffee and honey.
Yeah.
I did taste a little subtle sweetness in there.
But what about the aroma? Let's kind of.
Yeah. Those are types of aromas that I get. I do get like a honey and a toffee type note to it as well.
I think it's kind of nutty.
Yeah.
Smell a bit of green.
A little bit of what?
Grains. I think
Little
it's
grain.
yeah.
I'm getting light malts, generalized grain, like you said, a little sweetness and the nuttiness. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, pretty much what everybody said. I smell the malt and the sweetness and a little bit of nuttiness.
Now let's go to the most important part of it.
Yeah.
Taste test.
hey, have y'all looked at the website for it?
Yes.
Very interesting looking website. I like it. And I like what they put about how while hops are regularly grown and used to brew beer in the south of England, they aren't traditionally used in northern England or Scotland. Consequently, beers from the north tend to be less hoppy.
Now say that again because a train drove by and made noise.
All right. While hops are regularly grown and used to brew beer in the south of England, they aren't traditionally used in northern England or Scotland. Consequently, beers from the north tend to be less hoppy, which is just one more reason Newcastle is so smooth on the palate.
Yeah. And you got that off the website?
Yes.
It's not a hoppy beer, but there are hops in it. It's got like a little, what do you call it, like Schlitz would call it a kiss of the hops?
Yeah.
Hops.
I almost get almost.
Oh, and the malts they use are English Pale and Dark Caramel.
Yeah, a little kiss of hops at the end.
Okay, English pale malt and dark caramel malt, but they don't say what the hops are?
No, they do not say the hops.
If there are hops in this beer, the way that I mean, maybe other people have a different opinion on this, but the way that I get it is it's almost like a spiciness to the hops, almost like in a German style pilsner where you taste not like a spicy spice, but you get that sort of a flavor out of the hops. I don't know if that makes any sense.
You said a zestiness?
Yeah, like a spiciness, like if you drank like a German pilsner or a lager, that kind of.
Oh yeah, right.
Something
I get
like
that. Yeah, I think everybody's bouncing off and coming back. I think when the more you drink it, I think the hops start to show up more and more, though, don't you find? It's not pronounced, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's not super sweet. You know, like this beer is so low profile, right? It's not super sweet. It's not super hoppy. It's not super bitter. It's not super heavy. It's not super anything. Except drinkable.
It's very well.
It's very what?
Very well balanced.
Oh, yes.
There we
I was
go.
about to say, look at that beautiful lacing, though.
Yeah, it does look nice.
Balanced. Yeah, it is so balanced.
I just get toasted malt, some of that toffee, light toffee and honey, and there is a kind of a biscuity breadiness to the flavor as well that I get.
I'm getting a little brown bread crust. Nate.
That's good. I like it.
Nate, what about you, sir?
I tend to agree with that. Not really having any particular, not any like one definitive strong flavor there. It's just kind of a mishmash of a few things there. I'm not tasting as much of the sweetness anymore in it. But it's my experience also with a lot of the English beers that I've had. They've had kind of a strong bitter flavor to them as well, and that just doesn't. It's not something that this has.
Yeah, you couldn't say this is too bitter.
No.
Tanya, you're real good with the BJCP. Does this fall into the brown ale guidelines, you think?
It absolutely does. It's actually listed as the first commercial example in the BJCP style guidelines. And so what it's looking for is moderate malt sweetness with a nutty, lightly caramelly character and a medium dry finish with some toasted, biscuity, toffee-like characters. And that's exactly what everybody has said here.
So they're using this as sort of a prototype to teach the style.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I was reading something on Beer Advocate. Somebody had posted a forum talking about that I mean, beyond Newcastle, that you do see a lot of people drinking. You just don't see a lot of American craft brewers really doing much with the style and really, really bringing the style into the American craft brewing scene all that much. And I mean, beyond Newcastle, I can't really think of another really well-known example of a brown ale than this one.
Yeah, it's like brown ales have been ignored. I remember back in the mid-'90s, they were sort of like the bee's knees, like Pete's Wicked Ale and a Beta Turbo Dog, and I'm trying to think of some others. And then everybody would say, oh, yeah, brown ale's brown ale. And then when the IPA thing sort of kind of took over, now it's almost as though if a beer is not an IPA or an Imperial IPA, it's worthless and you shouldn't even drink it. And I have a problem with that kind of approach. But that's me, I can only speak for myself.
Yeah, we always want more and more extreme beers in the craft brewing world, and not focus so much on beers that taste really good and are really easy to drink and are sessionable. We don't really focus on that much anymore.
Yeah, but don't you think there's a place for something like this?
Absolutely. There's almost any kind of a place can fit this beer into it. Almost any.
What do you think, John?
One other style that I'm really getting tired of is the beers that are aged in cask oak barrels. I'm not a huge fan of whiskey at all, but that style just gets some. I don't like it at all. And
I'm getting tired of it too.
Yeah, it tastes like I'm drinking whiskey, rum, and beer at the same time. I'm not into that.
I don't mind it, but if I want to drink rum, I would just go. Why couldn't I just buy rum? And if I wanted to drink whiskey, I could buy whiskey. I mean, I'm not putting it down. I am not putting that style down. I don't ever put any styles down. But I kind of understand what you're saying. People have gone like berserk about it. It's like they're obsessed with that. And but anyway, I don't want to get on a long philosophical kind of thing. But
Exactly.
Sticking back to Newcastle, it was produced as an independent company for years, and then back around, I think it was in the 90s. Like so many other beer companies, it was bought out by, and y'all know who, right?
Mm-hmm.
InBev?
No.
Who?
Heineken International.
Okay.
So it is owned by Heineken today. But I like what Heineken does because I find when Heineken, since I've been drinking beer since the 1920s, right? I find Heineken, when they take over a beer company, they don't mess with the recipe. It seems like they keep things in order. And me and Paul, we've talked about that a lot. That what would be the incentive of a company to buy a beer brand and ruin it so that all the customers would get angry, right, Paul?
Right. I mean, I can see if they came in, maybe a beer was being brewed inefficiently. Maybe they could get cheaper ingredients somewhere that didn't affect the taste as much. Maybe you could do something like that. That might impact the taste negatively.
Right.
But on the whole, it wouldn't change the recipe. I'm noticing on the back of my bottle it says it was brewed at Tadcaster Brewery.
That's what I have for mine too.
Yeah, that is interesting. I do find for a mass-produced beer, and I think Heineken is like that since it is owned by Heineken. I do notice that this is one of the few mass-produced beers that you can find internationally that is not contract brewed in like Canada or somewhere in the United States. That's actually imported.
Yeah, it's coming from England, from Tadcaster, England. So that's like a historic brewing location, right? So I mean,
the one and only.
It's pretty obvious to me. Now, I want to say right now, I do not work for Heineken International, nor have that I can remember.
In the past life.
Nor that I can remember have I received any beer from them. Now, I say that with a clear conscience. Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is I find that Heineken seems like they know what they're doing. They must have really good scientific brewers over there.
They have an awesome marketing team.
Yeah, everybody have their facts in the back?
Yeah, but I'm aggravated that Heineken ran a commercial saying 'twas the night before, and then they start doing the commercial. They wouldn't say Christmas in the commercial. I mean, I'm sick of this politically correct stuff. I'm going to start a rant. No, I'm not. All right, anyway, yes. What about the facts?
All right, Dave, settle down.
Uh-oh. All right, Paul?
Yes. Well, back to the beer. The beer is very good. I find it very smooth and enjoyable. It's kind of like a lot of the other beers we've tried that they're smooth, they're easy to drink. They're sort of kind of remind you of the American lagers, but they have a more character to them.
Exactly.
So anyway, my fact is Newcastle Brown Ale is affectionately known as dog by those in the know. I'm ganning to see a man about a dog, and I'm taking the dog for a walk. We're often used by Geordie men as an excuse for visiting their local to sample their beloved tipple.
Huh.
Right, so you're looking at fact number what?
I love British stuff.
5.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good.
That's what I got.
They said they're going to walk the dog, they're going to go drink a Newcastle.
I'm ganning to see.
Yep.
Yeah. And also they said they're going to see a man about a horse, and I think that was something about Newcastle. But and in England they call it Nukibrun.
I have fact number 4, which talks about its name. They say what's less well known is that the birthplace of this legendary English ale owes its name to William the Conqueror's son Robert, the builder of Newcastle of 1080, a suitably royal heritage for our great tasting ale. All right, there you go, the name.
Newcastle.
England definitely has history that we don't. That's for sure.
No, I find.
Would you say this is a pub beer for sure?
I was just gonna mention that. I find that there's a lot of beers. There's a lot of beers that come from England that I find that are just designed for if you want to go to the pub and watch a game and have some food all day long. You could drink a beer like this all day long and not really get tired of it and not really get weighted down by a beer like this.
Right. And now in America, they also sell these. Now they might have it on draft at some stores. I know at some grocery stores you can get the draft cans. It's like a big keg, and it's got like a little hose on it, and you could hook it up, and it'll come out. Yeah, it's like a cask sort of thing. Well, I mean, you're not going to pump it, but it's sort of like that, and you can get
that in the kegerator, in the mini kegerator. Yeah,
that's kind of neat. I've never bought it. overall opinion of this beer is I think it's really good. I would give it a high score if I was doing a rating. I would tend to recommend people to get the canned version just to avoid skunking issues, but happily mine wasn't skunked. So I'm a big fan of Newcastle Brown Ale. I have to say that. Any other opinions about it from other people? I'm sorry Jeff Brister kept falling off because he's having connectivity issues, but anyway.
I had something to add. Oh yeah. If I'm going to a party or if I'm going to a family member's house and I want to bring a beer that's not necessarily Bud Light or Miller Lite, but that's got a little bit more flavor, that's just as drinkable, I have no problem suggesting or picking up Newcastle for that exact occasion. I think it works well if you're drinking, quote, all day and you need a sessionable beer. This one works just fine.
It would be a good beer to introduce people to a little bit more flavor.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
But I mean, do y'all like it? I mean, is your opinion that you like it, or you're not obligated to say you like it?
I think I've had better Newcastles than this bottle. I think this one's a little skunk, so that's not going to change my opinion though at all.
So, what is your opinion?
My opinion, I'm giving it I'm going to stick with my beer advocate rating of a 4 out of 5. It's definitely A to A- beer.
Okay, so you like it.
Absolutely.
Nate, and then Paul, and then John.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Eric. It kind of sounded like a really great idea actually. If you have a friend who's like only into, the staples, Bud Light, and all that stuff, that this would be the one to add, be like, hey, why don't you check out this one? It's got a little more flavor in it. But I don't always buy like 6-packs when I go to these either. And I've already, like I said before, most of us have had Newcastle before, and I just knew that I wouldn't mind having a few more of these later on. So I got a whole bunch of them too for this. So yeah, I'm gonna say I liked it also.
That's a good idea. That's good. And then Paul and John, then we're gonna let Tiny tell us what she thinks about it. Tiny got the big bottle, I think, right?
I'll say this about it. I really like it.
For that.
What I think about when I drink it is like getting to a bar or a pub with some friends at about 11 o'clock in the morning, and then just maybe start off talking about football, and maybe start talking about religion, and we start talking about politics and conspiracy theories, and then by the end of the day we've drunk like 4 pitchers or 5 pitchers, and we've been drinking all day, and that's the kind of thing I think about when I drink this beer.
Oh, that's good. That's interesting. Troubling, but interesting. Now,
Bravo.
Now, Paul.
Yes.
Remember we did, and y'all other ones on the group. Remember we did that Shiner Bock. Don't you think this beer beats the fool out of Shiner Bock?
I mean, it's funny. I never really. When you start doing it like this and looking at it to rate it or to say that whether you like it or not, I never really had an impression of Shiner Bock one way or the other, but having done this now and with all the beers we reviewed, I think it's the worst one we reviewed so far.
I would agree with that statement.
I hate to say that. I really do think it's the worst we reviewed. And
I don't think I think they put something in it. I don't think it's like a real. I don't think it's real. I mean, I think there's additives to it that aren't beer or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something's wrong with Shiner.
Why do you think that?
I don't know.
Are we talking about Shiner? Talking about Newcastle? Just
Shiner Bock. Shiner Bock.
Shiner Bock is so watery. It tastes like water with carbonation and some kind of a flavor in it.
Almost no carbonation.
Yeah.
It wasn't that tasty.
I must have missed the right one.
Good.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, something's wrong with that beer. But anyway, I'm sorry to bring that up, but I was trying to counterpose it because, Shiner Bock is a darker beer like Newcastle. It's about the same alcohol level.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly priced. But if I'm going to pay, I'm going to get Newcastle Brown Ale over Shiner Bock any day of the week. Okay, now, John, and then Tanya, tell us what y'all think about it.
I think it's a wonderful pub drinking beer. There's nothing wrong with it, as y'all said. It's one of the better lighter side brown beers, whether it's a lager or an ale. I wish they were in brown bottles, but one interesting fact their website said they they put them in clear bottles because they want to show off the distinct color of the beer. But overall, I give it a high B for a beer overall. I really enjoy it. It's very refreshing.
That's good. Tanya?
So I agree that with the clear glass thing, it definitely is a little stunky when you open another one. I just opened the second one. But as far as going down the list with aroma, appearance, flavor, mouthfeel, it nails it in all the categories according to the GCP guideline. And I guess since I just opened the second beer, that it makes it very drinkable in my opinion. And I think that it offers what I call the 3 different stages of flavor. There's the initial flavor, the finish, and then the aftertaste. And they all are very balanced and complement each other. So it's kind of like a roller coaster ride, and it's a little dry, it's a little sparkly, it's a little bitter, but it all kind of resolves nicely. So it's very drinkable, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you like it. And I want to. Do y'all mind if I show y'all something real fast before we get off?
Oh, right ahead.
I was at a grocery store yesterday. I was doing some shopping. Plus, I ate some Mexican food on Magazine Street, New Orleans. But anyway, it was really good too. But anyway, I
had some garbage Mexican food last night.
Huh?
I had some garbage Mexican food last night.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had some awesome Mexican food yesterday. Anyway, I was called.
Where'd you go? Where'd you say you went, Jay?
To a place. It's only been open a few months called Aranya Taqueria on Magazine Street, New Orleans. It's Yucatan-style Mexican food. Yeah, it was good.
So good.
It really was so good. You need to probably drive to Louisiana this week and try. But anyway, now I'm not joking. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But I was at a place called Bromart. Paul's familiar with Bromart, and I went in there and I said, "Oh boy, look at this!" And I had to buy $7.99 for the 6-pack. Look at it.
Holy
How do you pronounce that? The Caledonian?
Caledonian?
Newcastle Scotch Ale Caledonian. What this is called the Collaboration Edition. The brewmaster at Newcastle in Tadcaster's name is Chris Deacon. He got together with the brewmaster at Caledonian Brewery in Scotland. His name is Ian Kennedy. And they developed this beer in a collaboration with 2 breweries. Newcastle Caledonian. It's called Newcastle Caledonian Scotch Ale. It's 6.4% alcohol, and it's brewed in Edinburgh, Scotland, United Kingdom. So I can't wait to try it. And there's a whole bunch of information on here about how they made the beer and how they got together and brewed it. And it says...
Is that supposed to be a Scotch-style ale?
So it says Scotch Ale.
Hmm.
It says Caledonian... It says brewed with local barley... Brew it on an open flame, directly lit under the under a flame directly lit under the open copper kettles. Full leaf hop flowers and East Coast malt to create handcrafted beers to savor. So it makes me want to try it so bad. What do y'all think about that?
Yeah, that sounds really good.
It's only got 17 reviews on Beer Advocate. It's still fairly new in the online beer scene.
Sounds like I better do a video tomorrow. All right. Well, I think this went very well. Now, what we're looking at next week, if y'all want to join for next Wednesday, I'm kind of excited, and I know John's excited, and he was excited about Newcastle, so he's kind of disappointed. But it's
south of the border.
Yes, we went east of the Atlantic, and now we're going south of the U.S. border. Corona Extra, also from the 1920s. What do y'all think about Corona Extra next Wednesday?
I got a big old bottle of Corona Familiar. I'm ready to go.
Familiar. I've got a 24-ounce clear bottle of the Corona. Anybody else game for that?
I'm game.
Hey, do you know what Familiar stands for?
It means family size.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks. What's the name? The guy from Florida. Miami, Florida.
It's not a separate...
I never share my beer with my family.
Yeah, people
I was going to say.
That is a totally different beer online, and it's really not.
No, if you get on the Grupo Modelo website, it very clearly shows that Corona Familiar is simply Corona Extra in a huge brown bottle. Now,
The only places I can get that beer is when I go deep into the low-income areas of Richmond.
oh yeah, that's weird because we get Familiar everywhere around here.
I agree with
Yeah.
that.
I have to go into the south side to get it.
South side. All right. Well, anyway, folks, thank you, the viewers, for watching this, to me, very interesting Newcastle Brown Ale. And you know, there's a lot of other Newcastle beers. The Scotch Ale I showed you. Right now in the grocery store I was working at today, they have the Newcastle Blood Red Ale, the Werewolf.
Yes.
And this, I don't know if y'all seen the Blood Red Ale.
Yeah, I say
Never
that's
seen
kind of a miss of a beer, but try it.
They have their summer beer. What's it called? The Newcastle
I think it's
Summer.
called Summer Ale.
Yeah, and there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that they come out with. So anyway, thank you for watching this video production.
Get it in a can if you can.
Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you.